This is the Mariners POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Seattle Mariners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Mariner POSTCAST. We go live after every single Seattle Mariner game. My name is Chris Crawford. Anders Hurst will be taking over for me shortly. I got to go. I don't want to get too much into it, but I've got to go. I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on the game because otherwise you guys will be bugging me and all that stuff. I thought Bryce Miller pitched well. He was one play away from having a really good start. 5 innings of 3-run baseball. I would have taken it. JP Crawford ends up having some huge moments in this game, but he also has a huge moment where he doesn't make that play in the first inning. And unfortunately, that's one of the reasons you lose this baseball game. The most positive thing I can say about this game is, number one, you got to lose sometime. It doesn't make this any less frustrating, but you had to lose a game at some point. You'll probably lose another one, maybe even 2 more. Hopefully not, but you're going to lose baseball games. Geno Suarez being back. And I don't know if he's for sure back, but the game Geno Suarez had today was absolutely terrific, and this could be just me. I'd trade Geno Suarez getting back for 1 loss. I wouldn't trade it for 2. But if you get this version of Geno Suarez for the rest of the year, that's going to be massive. I don't want to get too hyperbolic on how bad Matt Brash was, but Matt Brash was really bad. The command was awful, 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 awful. Yeah, the homer from Adam Frazier is the weirdest home run I've seen in a long time. I have no idea how that baseball gets out, but it does get out. It's a tough loss. It's a really tough loss, and I'm going to let my buddy Anders handle the rest of it. Anders, I love you.
Hey, guys.
I'll see you soon, okay?
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, Chris Crawford. Our thoughts go out to you, and please get some rest, okay? So, yeah, I mean, I think Chris said it really well there. As he said, I'll introduce the show once again. Welcome to the Locked On Mariners POSTCAST. Anderson Hurst here. You just saw Christopher Crawford. He wasn't even supposed to be on today, but he had to get in some thoughts on this game because that's just where we are in the season. So that's how we feel about it. We go live after every single Mariner baseball game. Really appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Big thing for me is the Mariners are bound to lose sometime. And I guess you're not going to win out for the regular season, but man, this seemed like a missed opportunity. This seemed like a game that the Mariners lost and the Royals didn't win. That's just how I feel about it. Now I realize we're going to look through things from a Mariner lens. We are all Mariner fans here. So obviously when, something goes well for the other team, we're going to view it from the, our perspective, and we weren't making plays instead of they were making plays. Sometimes that is the case. But today it was the Mariners that, kind of shot themselves in the foot a little too often. JP's defensive play needs to be better. Matt Brash just wasn't good enough. Julio getting picked off in the inning that JP homers in. Can't have that. You have Geno Suarez at the plate on a 3-for-3 night. Ends up going 4-for-4. And it's good to note that he seems to be seeing the ball much better now. I don't know, man. Brash is the big thing for me. I realize a lot of people are going to point to the Julio getting picked off because A, it's Julio, and B, it's a moment in which you can definitely get more out of, but I still pin the loss on Brash. I will take the negative of aggressive base running, whether that's going for steals and kind of going on first move. They talk about it a lot on the broadcast. I will take the negatives with that, and that's occasionally getting picked off, which you saw today. Yes, it's frustrating when you feel like you have a rally going, and that may be a situation where, hey, there's 2 outs. We have a guy that's hot, at least today, at the plate. Let's not try and run into outs here. This is the situation where we can dial it back a little bit, and that's the next step in terms of the coaching for me. But it's just not it's not a huge deal to me, but it is frustrating, and you definitely could have gotten more in that innings. I feel like Suarez was going to make something happen there, considering how well he was seeing the ball tonight. But Bryce Miller, as we always start with the start, we'll talk about him. We'll talk about the offense a little bit, which was nothing until the JP Crawford home run. Really, I guess you could put the Suarez home run in that bucket as well. But overall, Bryce Miller was good. I think he's pretty firmly your 5th best starting pitcher. So if you get what he gave you tonight, 5 innings of 3-run baseball, you'll take that for sure from your 5th starter. I do expect a little bit more from him. Hopefully, his last couple starts in this season will prove that to be the case, that I should be expecting more from him. But it's fine. Like I said, you were bound to lose at some point. I wish it wasn't in this way. The big story for me is the offense. The offense and Matt Brash. Those are the 2 things, kind of big talking points we'll talk about tonight. Offense, it wasn't good tonight. Geno Suarez, by the point in which, when the Mariners tied the game at 3-3, with Geno Suarez's leadoff double and then eventually the Mitch Garver sac fly, he had accounted for basically all 3 of the Mariners' runs. The 2-run homer, and then he gets the double, and then sets it up with the ground out, goes to 3rd, and then, of course, Mitch Garver drives him in. Without that double, you don't score that run. So him basically almost literally carrying this offense until J.P. Crawford's home run tells you, A, how good he was, and B, how bad the rest of this lineup was. I'm looking through the box score right now. I'm seeing 4 hits from Geno Suarez, 2 from Josh Naylor, which was good. You get a hit from Luke Raley there at the very end, which doesn't mean much. And then, of course, the home run from J.P. Crawford. No one else did anything tonight. Julio does get a hit, and I guess Raleigh does as well. So, I mean, it just kind of seemed like in very minuscule moments. But Suarez was literally carrying your offense today. I'm not going to skip the lead. Let's talk bullpen, because honestly, up until Matt Brash, it looked like the bullpen was going to be doing its job really, really well. You get 5 innings out of Bryce Miller, 8 hits, not great. The 3 runs all earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks. That's kind of a very Bryce Miller start in 2025. Caleb Ferguson comes in, gives up a hit and a walk, but gets out of it for sure. Makes the pitches he absolutely needs to keep the Mariners in the game. Gabe Speier just comes in and keeps looking like, in my opinion, the 2nd best reliever on this team right now. And then Matt Brash. Man, it was tough to watch because, there's a lot of discourse online going about like, I think reliever performances can definitely get blown out of proportion a little bit. And everyone thinks that their relievers suck. And no matter where you are across Major League Baseball, it's the nature of being in a high leverage spot as often as you are. You're not going to be 100% successful. No one's going to be Mariano Rivera, right? So you're going to have some innings where you feel like you're bending but not breaking, the Fernando Rodney experience. A lot of people equate that to. And you're going to have some where you do break. You just got to make sure it's not very often. And it seems like Matt Brash has been kind of walking that line for a while now. I looked up a stat. I was just looking at his game log. Only 6 of his last 14 appearances have been completely clean. No walks, no hits, which it's not an awful number, but I expect better from my pretty assuredly, according to Dan Wilson, 8th inning guy at this point. I need better from my best reliever that's not my closer, right? And especially from people, if you want to put Brash in the closer role, that people were asking for that earlier this year. You're going to need better than that. And again, it's not the only stat to look at with relievers. He has a good ERA. His FIP is really good. His expected numbers are very good as well due to a lot of the strikeouts. But his command, when it's off, it's really, really off. And I would have liked to maybe see a quick hook from Dan Wilson, realizing that, where we are in the season. It seemed like he kind of, I don't want to say folded, because at that point the game was kind of already over anyway. But it seems to me that it's pretty easy to tell when Brash is just not right. And he's really not right. That it's like, all right, not his day. Get him out of there. Let's try and patch up the damage here instead of just letting everything blow up, which it kind of did. So, to me, it's a little bit of Brash just being bad. It's a little bit of mismanagement. I'm not going to pin it on Wilson. I'm not going to expect the manager to come and grab your guy. You're, like I said, nails on 8th inning guy, at least up until this point. That's been his role. So. Yeah, you could have managed that a little bit better, but Matt Brash just wasn't good enough tonight. That's as simple as you can put it. And I worry about his, I don't want to say ability, but I worry about his kind of future prospects moving towards the end of the season and hopefully into playoff time as well. Because at least right now, I don't know about you guys. You can let me know. I put Spire ahead of him in terms of just confidence that I feel when he's on the mound. And honestly, I'd put Eduard Bizardo over Matt Brash right now. And I realize that it's kind of stepping on the toes of what I was just saying. It's the reality of being in as many high leverage spots as you are, which Matt Brash is in much more high leverage spots than Eduard Bizardo is. But the results lately have looked a lot better in terms of Bizardo's outcomes. So that's just my personal feeling. It just seems like, and I don't think it'll happen. I'm not saying that they should do that, but to me, just observation in terms of my confidence in relievers, it goes Munoz, it goes Spire, Bizardo, and then Matt Brash. So maybe there's a change coming. Probably not, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. I just had to get that out there before we get to the unsung part of the program. We'll give some love to our sponsors today. Mariners end their winning streak at 10 games, lose 7-5 to the Kansas City Royals. Tough loss for the Mariners because it was there to be won. And we'll talk about those moments here in just a second. But first, let's talk let's give some love to our sponsors, and I'll talk to you guys on the other side. This episode's brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. And you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. And now with football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. I love how quick it is, honestly. And for someone who likes to watch not just my hometown teams play, I like to have juice in the game, whether it's, a bet or if it's just a Prize Picks lineup. Sometimes I just like doing that. It's a lot easier of a format for me to understand sometimes. And then it gives me a reason to watch some of the games that maybe not include the Seahawks or Mariners or any of those guys. So that's where I feel. And I think Prize Picks is by far the best one. If you were to choose your daily fantasy lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. The ease of use is big for me because as someone who, hand up, I am not a finance bro. I do not know the first thing about investments and where to put my money and stuff like that. So having something like Monarch Money is so key for me because I like to know kind of that the people that are handling my money are much better at doing and making the most out of it than I am. So, and then having to just see everything, give me a quick rundown on my dashboard. It's so key. Highly recommend Monarch Money. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets is so difficult sometimes. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, honestly, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the right price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Sometimes, you can plan out an opportunity to go watch the Mariners or, go watch the Seahawks, whoever you want to go see. And I'm a big watching it sports live person. It's definitely a heightened experience from just on TV. But sometimes you don't have the ability. It's like, hey, I just found out that I have tomorrow off of work. So let's go to the game. Game time's perfect for that because you don't have the limit in options. Plus, every fee is included. I can't stress this enough. This is huge for me. When I see exactly how much a ticket costs, and then it ends up at being $20 or $30 more down the road because of all the fees and everything, I get turned off. I don't want to buy the ticket at that point because it's like, crap, I budgeted for this amount. All the fees are included on Game Time, so highly recommend it. Check it out if you're on the last-minute ticket prices option there. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back to the Mariners Postcast. Anderson Hertz here. You heard the comments of Christopher Crawford right off the top of the show. He'll be back with us tomorrow. I hope so. Everything, hopefully is going to be good with him. He just needed to take today off. It's all good. Happy to cover for him. Definitely a missed opportunity game for the Mariners. There's losses, and then there's losses where you feel like you shouldn't have lost. To put it as simple as possible. This was one of those games, and I get that, like we talked about earlier, the offense wasn't good enough for the majority of this game, but having a moment like you got from J.P. Crawford and having it wasted because, unfortunately, of the bottom half of the inning feels like it was a massive missed opportunity. This team thrives on momentum as much as any baseball team this year or any years that I've watched baseball as religiously as I have lately has. It's important. So this is where I'm going to be really eyeing the next couple of games for the Mariners. And there's no wiggle room for error at this point. You have one more game in the KC series, then you have a massive Houston Astros series over the weekend. So it's going to be really important for the Mariners to flush this game. If they do what they did the last couple road trips and when one game kind of goes poorly, they kind of let it spiral a little bit until they come home. We cannot have that happen. That's going to be something I'm going to be watching big time. My unsung moment for today is Julio getting picked off. Now, the reason it's an unsung moment, guys, is because I don't think it's the reason you lost this game. But you can't have that, unfortunately. You had a chance to pad your lead. And we've seen the Mariners do this a lot recently with their 10-game win streak. When they do make a comeback, which, happens every once in a while in a win streak, you're not going to be leading from the beginning every single game. When you do make that comeback, you're not just settling for a one-run lead, right? And that puts so much pressure on your bullpen. And we have seen them be nails recently, but today they just weren't as good. You have to add on to it. And that's when you start to get those winning streaks because you don't have to use your higher leverage relievers if you add on and have that big inning. So really, really, it's not the reason why you lost. I'll say that once again. I'll also put the caveat on that I do personally, I take the minuses with the aggressive base running with the pluses. I like that this team steals a lot of bags. They look for that extra base when it's there. The downside of doing that and playing baseball in that more aggressive way on the base paths, at least, is that you're going to get picked off every once in a while. You're going to get thrown out at second, trying to stretch a single into a double, so on and so forth. So to me, it's a process thing. It's similar to a guy that, take Geno Suarez, for example, right? You hit 46, 47 home runs, which he has right now. You're going to strike out a lot. But you take the strikeouts with the home runs, right? There's very few hitters that can hit home runs and then not strike out as well as Geno Suarez. So that's where it's like it's a process thing. You take the good with the bad. I still would rather have it this way than be ultra conservative and not want to steal bases whatsoever. So that's kind of how I feel about that. That's why it's an unsung moment and not a sung moment for me. But it still is something where, yeah, you can't have that in that situation. So also, side note on J.P. Crawford's home run, just seems like every one of his home runs come in big moments. He doesn't have that many, but the percentage of J.P. Crawford's home runs being in a high leverage or big moment seems to be pretty dang high. So good for him for getting that, kind of getting the monkey off his back after a bad defensive play today, and honestly yesterday as well with the error. So hopefully he can kind of turn it around because we need some better infield defense moving forward. That'll do it for us tonight. Really appreciate everyone hanging out. Please like the video if you haven't already. Mariners lose this one to end their winning streak at 10 games. 7-5 loss to the Royals. You can still go win the series tomorrow. This is by no means is doom and gloom season, but a couple teams behind you won. So Houston ended up winning, and the Guardians ended up winning too. So you're not out of the woods yet. This is why it's so key at this point in the season. So go and win tomorrow, put this one behind you, and then get yourself ready for a massive weekend series against the Houston Astros for the kind of final leg of the AL West crown going into the postseason. So, okay. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. It's a day game. 11:10, I want to say, is the first pitch. Let me double check the probables. For the Mariners tomorrow, I believe we have Luis Castillo. Yes, Luis Castillo versus Steven Kolek. It is an 11:10 first pitch. So we'll talk to you guys during the day tomorrow. Have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Let's just get the win tomorrow. Go Mariners. Have a good one. See you later.